Hi everyone, welcome to Module 13 of Kinesiology 2700, Stress Management for Healthy Living. This is taking it to the next level. And again, this was in two parts, Module 12 and Module 13. This is Part 2, Moving Forward with a New You. And I just want to remind you that this builds on Part 1 that we did in Module 12 of Moving Forward with a New You, about just examining the stories that we tell about our lives. And to be able to move forward, we need to let go of some of our preconceived perceptions about who and what we are, including telling the stories or recognizing the stories that we tell about ourselves and tell about others and tell about events. Now, once we're able to kind of let go and move past those, now we need to envision what we want to move into. So again, this is going to be a kind of a deep process of both examining your deepest values and also envisioning the new you that you would like to bring forward. You're going to be doing a lot of activities and deep writing activities, deep reflective activities, so it's super important that you have something to write with, whether it is your computer or whether it is a piece of paper and pen. But throughout this video, you're going to be doing some pretty deep reflecting, so it's important to be prepared as you go through the video to be writing and reflecting as you do so. You'll be reflecting both on your deepest values as well as what you'd like to move forward with, the type of you that you would like to bring into your future. So again, as you're going through this video, you are going to be doing some deep reflecting. This will be your assignment for this module, and you will combine all the pieces of the writing that you do throughout this content video into one assignment with each part clearly labeled, and submit this as your Module 13 assignments. So welcome to Module 13 on your deepest values and moving forward with a new you. Okay, so now again, we've been reflecting on all the stories that we tell, what we do with our time, what we do with our energy. Now we're going to get into some deeper stuff. Now we're going to really start focusing on what your deepest values are and really trying to clarify what it is that you want to bring forward into your life at this point. Okay, but we really can't clarify what we want to bring forward until we really, really deeply discern what our values are. And again, I could ask you what your values are and you might be able to tell me in a perfunctory way, but this whole process is going to get you a little bit deeper. And again, it is one long writing activity. I'm going to give you several different parts to it, but it is one kind of longer writing activity. So it would be best, if you have been doing this in chunks, it would be best to do this whole chunk at one period in time. And again, allow yourself really at this space and time, because this one gets kind of deep. So if you're not in that space and time where you can get deep with it, you might want to come back to it. But this is a really kind of deeper activity, a really kind of acknowledging what's important to you in your life. We're going to go into kind of a long, deep process about determining what your deepest values are. And I'm going to walk you through this process. Again, it is kind of a deep process, so be forewarned. That will get you into really thinking about what your deepest values are and what you want to bring forward into your life. And if I just asked you that, you might kind of on the surface write some cursory stuff, but I'm going to walk you through a process that's going to probably bring you to a much deeper level and really looking at what your deepest values are for yourself. And then we're going to really solidify what a new you looks like. And by new you, I don't mean that we're invalidating anything that you are. What I'm talking about is right now we have this potential, and we have this potential of bringing forth a new self with intention. with all the things that we talked about now, what is it that you want to really bring forward into the world? What is it that you want to kind of redefine about yourself, redefine about your life? And so we're going to get into some pretty deep places in that, and really kind of being very clear. Last session we did something called contrast versus clarity, or discerning clarity. I call it different things sometimes, but it was really about clarity about a specific event. What would it really look like if it were working? So this is now, what would you really look like? In other words, you and all the news stories that you're going to create. What would you look like in bringing this stuff forward and being really kind of clear? Because again, it's just like the last activity that we did. The more clarity that you can bring, the more likely you're going to see those opportunities to really become that thing. And so I'm going to have you do some writing about that. And then that leads into the very last guided meditation. And the very last guided meditation is really moving forward with a very intentional vision of who and what you want to bring into the world. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you walk into a space, and in this space you look around and it's like, oh my gosh, this is like, there's that person, and then there's that person, and you're looking around and there's like all these people from all different aspects of your life, but they're all there together. So it doesn't quite make sense, because it's like, here's somebody from my childhood, and here's somebody from my work, and here's some, a lot of people from my family, and you're kind of looking around, and then you see all these mementos kind of hung up and all these pictures, and you're looking around, but the pictures are of you. And all of a sudden it hits you that you have walked into your own memorial service. And again, this isn't meant to be morbid in any way, zero. But what I want you to do, so preparing to speak are these different people from your life. And so what I want you to do, you're going to pause the recording, and what I want you to do is I want you to write your own eulogy. I want you to write what you would like them. So there's people preparing to do different eulogies for you. I would like you to write what you would like them to be able to say, not necessarily what they would right now. I would like you to write what you would like them to be able to say about who you were in the deepest sense, and about how you lived your life. Again, this is what you would like them to be able to say about you. As if, and you can pretend, I don't care what you pretend the parameters around. You can be 100 years old. That's not the important piece. The important piece here right now is to you've passed on from this life, and there's people gathered to celebrate who you were and what you brought to this life. So I'd like you to kind of get into a deep space and really focus on what you would like them to be able to say about you. So pause the recording and write. So now, we're just kind of really focusing in on, wow. When you look at it that way, it kind of starts to bring it up what some of your deepest values are in a whole different way. It's like, oh my gosh, this is what's really important to me, what I bring to my life. This is good to know when you kind of take that distant or observing point of view about that person that you want to be. And so the next thing, what I want you to do is, you're going to pause the recording. What I'd like you to do is write 15 words or short descriptive phrases. So it's just 15 descriptive words or short phrases that you would want people to be able to use to describe you. Not necessarily what they would right now. And I don't want you to get up in this, trying to negotiate headspace. I just want you, again, let the writing write you. But I just want you to write 15, and they can be single words, they can be descriptive phrases, and again, this isn't a narrative, this is you're just listing 15 words or short descriptive phrases about what you would like people to be able to use to describe who you are. Pause the recording until you get those written. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to look over those 15 words or descriptive phrases and really let them sink in a minute. Really kind of let them in. Because now we're getting deep into, wow, okay, so these are about who I really want to bring into the world and how I want to show up. How I want to show up for other people, how I want to show up for myself, how I want to show up just to be who I want to bring into this world. So now I want you to pause the recording, and what I want you to do is I want you to circle or otherwise highlight. If you're already on the computer, you can highlight. I don't care how you differentiate these words, but I want you to go through those 15 words or phrases, and I want you to circle or highlight or otherwise differentiate the 5 that are most important to you. So I just, again, want you to kind of just think about this and let this sink in. Give yourself some time, and then, but time to get into that emotional space, not time of trying to analyze it, and then unpause the recording when you're done circling. Okay, so we've kind of gotten into the eulogy piece of really what you would like people to say about the way you've lived your life, the 15 words of descriptive phrases about how you would like people to be able to describe who you were in this world or who you are in this world, and really kind of then differentiating it down to those 5 that are most important. So now, and again, this isn't meant to be morbid in any way, but it will give you kind of into a deeper space. And again, I got another scenario for you. I want you to pretend that you're visited by an angel, and this angel has come to tell you that you only have a year left to live. And again, it's not meant to be morbid, it's not even meant to be sad. She's actually giving you the best gift that you could have other than longer life, in letting you know that your time is finite. And I don't care, again, you can pretend all the parameters around it. You can be 110 years old if you want. It's not the parameters that are important. What's important is you have been given a message that your time is finite. And in that time that's finite, what do you want to do? Now, again, you can figure out the parameters. It's not about you're sick and you need to get your affairs in order or anything like that. Time, money is not an object, whatever it is. I just want you to think about, oh my gosh, if I really only had a year left, what would I want to do with that precious time? So again, what I want you to do is pause the recording and write for about 15 minutes. What would you do if you had a year left to live? And again, stream of consciousness writing style. If it doesn't take you 15 minutes, that's fine. Try to go for at least 10. This is totally up to you. The parameters are up to you. But I just want you to really focus in. If I had finite time left, who would I want to bring to that year? Who would I want to be in that year? Pause the recording and write. Now think about yesterday. So now I'm going to ask you to pause the recording again, and what I want you to do is, this can just be a bulleted list. What did you do from the time that you woke up until the time that you went to sleep? And again, just give me the bulleted list. Pause the recording until you have the list. Okay, so now obviously the what did you do yesterday is just about, a lot of us live our lives day to day to day to day doing what we need to do. And especially now it's really hard because we're just kind of confined to only a few things that we even can do. But that last piece was obviously to kind of juxtapose what we're doing in our day-to-day life with the other three things that I had you write about what really is the most important thing about who you want to be and what you want to bring forth into this world. And is that really being shown as much as you can do in your day-to-day life? And again, this isn't about right and wrong. It's not about judgment at all. It's just an invitation to look. Because a lot of times I still know people in their 70s, almost in their 80s, that are like, as soon as this thing is in place, I'm going to start living. Or as soon as this thing is done, and we're always waiting to the next thing to really be that thing that we want to bring into the world. And we keep waiting and we keep waiting, and it just keeps further and further and further because we're not living that in a day-to-day life. And so what I want you to do now is I want you to pause the recording and I want you to reflect. I want you to put this all together. So when you wrote your eulogy, probably a lot of your deepest values came out about who you want to be in this life. And so I just want you to kind of condense that into, what are my values, right? What are my values about bringing forward into this life? When you wrote, the descriptive words and phrases, it's like, what do I want to be? And so just kind of review in that. And then I also, when you were writing about year left to live, how do you want to spend your time? What is it that you want to really be in the time that you have? And so I don't want you, it's not a verbatim list one thing. I just want you to pull all these together, because these are all generally formed around what are your values about who you want to be, what you want to bring forward, and then process a little bit more. Okay, so this is what I did yesterday. How can I, even given the circumstances now, how can I take what I wrote in the first several pieces to that and really bring it a little bit more forward? And again, it's not about right and wrong. It's not about judgment. But what are the ways? It's just an invitation to look. What are some ways that I can really exemplify more what I wrote in the first pieces, more in my just day-to-day life, even given the situation that we have now? So what I'd like you to do, again, is pause the recording and just reflect in a time frame that's appropriate for you. Okay, wow. I know that, when you're really engaged in this exercise, this can be a pretty deep exercise. Usually when I do this in my classes, this is one of the most memorable days of the whole semester, really getting into looking at this in this way. Again, it's a totally different process than if I just asked you write out what your values are. And so now what I want you to do is I want you to start visualizing what specifically you would look like if you were bringing yourself forward in the ways that you said that were important, the ways that kind of came out, right? This is kind of like the contrast versus clarity, where I asked you to be really clear about what a problem was in the last session. Now I want you, it's just kind of expanding that clarity, right? We're not going to do the contrast bit, but what I want you to do is write a narrative, and I want you to really visualize what you would look like embodying all those ideals and all those values that you talked about, in your day-to-day life, or if you want to look at certain situations in your life, or you want to talk about big, kind of bigger goals of how you want to move forward. But the more specific that you can be about really visualizing what that looks like, the more powerful this can be. So I'm going to give you, again, I want you to give yourself, hopefully 10 minutes, but again, I know this is getting kind of long, but it's up to you. But I want you to really get deep in, because this is what the meditation is going to be based on. So the more that you can get a really bring clarity to what that vision of you looks like. How would you be in certain circumstances? How would you be behaving? What would be the circumstances that you can bring that self forward into? And so I just want you to really kind of give a narrative and visualize what that you would look like. And again, this is kind of open-ended with the stream of consciousness writing, because I want the pen to write you, or the keyboard to write you, in the ways that's most appropriate for you and your life. So again, pause the recording and visualize that new you. Okay, so, and I know that this is getting, pretty deep. This may be one that you want to revisit, and that you want to revisit often, or you want to revisit in a deeper way, because this is where it all is, right? This is when we're really restoring our capacities for resilience and flourishing. This is where we take everything that we've talked about in all the different sessions, and we really integrate it in our day-to-day life, but we also are very, very, very intentional about who we want to be and what we want to bring forward into the world. And like I said, our whole world has been turned upside down. There is no time like the present to really be intentional about that person that we want to bring forward. So a couple things before we go on. I'm going to lead you in the last meditation, and the last meditation is going to take all the pieces that you just wrote and kind of formulate them, especially that last part about what that new you would look like. Again, taking all, that new you was hopefully taking all the things that you had written before and kind of really encapsulating that in a vision of yourself. So the last meditation is going to really focus on that. It's going to take all the pieces of the things that you wrote. But before we go into the last meditation, I really want to give some parting words here, because we're just about to shift gears and focus on some external behaviors that might lead to your stress. And so we're really culminating the inner experience of our stress management with this video. And hopefully you've had a chance to really engage with it at a deep level. But, I'm only providing the words, and you're providing the experience. And I said from the very, very, very beginning that it's experience that changes you or transforms you, and that if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so this is really about changing your experience. So it's not just about doing these activities once or doing these practices once and then forgetting it and going back to your old lifestyle. What this is really finding ways to integrate all of the stuff that you decided were important for you. It's not about me telling you what's right and what's wrong. It's about you really processing what is most appropriate for you in your own life, and how you're going to really integrate it and bring it forward. But again, if nothing changes, nothing changes. We know the stages of behavior change, right? There's pre-contemplation, where you might not feel good, but you can't really specifically say what's wrong. And then there's the contemplation stage, where you really start thinking about it, you start learning about it, and you may kind of vacillate in parts of the behavior change, right? So this has been a lot about contemplation. You've been learning about it, you've been kind of dabbling in it as we go along, but the next piece is the action phase, and nothing happens until something happens. And so it's really important to understand that this is just the beginning. And so being able to kind of take these and really weave them into your life in a way that's appropriate for you is now the next challenge, right? Of really being able to integrate it and maintain it in your own life. You're just beginning the journey. And I just really need to name that, because again, experience changes you. So if you just had this experience for the 6 pieces and then you just forget it and go back, and it's just kind of some lofty thing in your head, and then it just slowly slips away, it's not going to really matter a whole lot. So the idea now is really be bringing some clarity to what it is that you want to bring forward, and then finding ways in your everyday life to be able to still live up and integrate and kind of weave through the tapestry of your day all the different things that you've been learning about yourself, and intentional about what you want to bring forward. Heart for a New You, again, is going to ask you to take a lot of the things that you just wrote about and really formulate kind of a really crystal clear image about that person that you want to bring forward. And again, I can't impress enough that it may be a really impactful practice for you, but the more that you practice it, the more impact it's going to make in your life. This may be a meditation that you want to listen to day after day after day, for a while, just so it really begins to be integrated in who you are. Because again, what's going to happen is your brain gets wired to seeing this new vision of yourself. So you're going to be then more likely to pick up opportunities in your life that are showing themselves to you for you to be able to blossom into this thing. So, and again, what it's going to do is also, just for a minute, ask you to kind of focus in on the discomfort of not changing. Before I talked about the discomfort of change, but it's like, oh gosh, would I be able to just be stuck in this place that I'm not very happy for right now? And just what would that feel like? Because that's kind of the impetus to kind of move forward then, and to really into this clear vision of a new you. And whatever that is, again, it doesn't have to be a new you and a whole new life, but in different areas of your life, whatever it is for you. It's not about me, it's not about what I'm saying, it's about what it is about you and what you want to bring forward in different areas of your life. So we're going to go into the final practice in just a moment. And again, you can follow this video right into the practice if you're ready to do the practice, or you can access the practice at a later time when you're more ready for it from the link in Blackboard. So just to reiterate, you need to, for your homework this week, you need to read Unstressed, pages 179, where it starts Discover and Live Your Deepest Values, and you're going to read all the way to the end of the book. And then you're going to combine all the writing activities that you just did from this video in one document with each part clearly labeled, and submit under the link in Blackboard. If you would like additional information on these activities, they can be found in Chapter 6, the parts that you are going to read in the book. And then again, you need to take the midterm. The midterm is super easy. It's straight out of the book. It's open book, open note, and not timed. And then your sustained practice again this week will be Heart for a New You, which is going to follow directly after I get done with your homework. And again, you can listen to it now or later with a different link. And then you will be doing an in-the-moment practice of your choice. And as always, write a paragraph summary of both the in-the-moment practice and both the sustained practice in one document with each part clearly labeled, and then submit that under the link. So your deliverables for this week are all the writing activities, and it's going to be way longer than the page that's normally required because there are a lot of different pieces to it. So you will be doing the document with all the parts of this video, the midterm, and then the summary of your practices. So have a really good week. And then next week, again, we're really going to switch gears and start getting into time management and some external things that may be causing you stress. So now what I'd like you to do to prepare for the practice, read back over all the things that you wrote today. Give yourself a little bit, maybe, 5 minutes time just to kind of read back and review what you just wrote. Make sure that you have a good space and time. Again, this is a deeper meditation. It can be a very powerful one, but it's really important that you give yourself the space and time to be able to really deeply engage in it. And again, it's going to be about 25 minutes. Again, with the introduction, it'll introduce you to the practice and then lead you through the practice. And so just, I'm not going to come back on after the practice because I want you to be able to really soak into the practice. I would also recommend that you have your journal close to you, because this may be bringing up some things, some light bulbs that might go on about how to really be able to manifest some of those things that you think about in that practice in your day-to-day life. And I hope that you revisit it often. I really, really, really hope that you revisit it often, because once is not enough, right? To be able to really integrate these things in your life. We call them practices for a reason. You practice and practice and practice, and pretty soon it gets ingrained, and pretty soon it is just the way that you operate. But it does take some practice, and it does take some intentionality. So prepare for the practice. Heart for a New You. Introduction. Heart for a New You is designed to restore your capacities for flourishing and well-being by moving forward with a new self-image. This practice continues the guided imagery you have been working on by helping you cultivate a new and expanded self-image based on the values you identified throughout Chapter 6 of Unstressed. To prepare, look back over the exercises in the chapter, specifically how you would like to spend your time, the new stories you would like to cultivate, the new scripts you would like to write, the eulogy exercise, your 15 descriptive words, and the values you would live if you had a year left. Ponder deeply about what your life would look like if you were truly embodying what you wrote. Take some time before the practice and get extremely clear on an image or components of different images you would like to bring forth and the way you would like your life to speak. Cultivate a clear and specific image of yourself, embodying your deepest values and living the life you desire. Be specific. Think about detail in all areas of your life. Also, briefly reflect on the images you want to leave behind. You will do this in the practice for a short time, just enough to unlock the associated neural networks to destabilize them. So it is a good idea to have them in mind before you start the practice. Find a place where you can sit or lay down comfortably uninterrupted for about 25 minutes. Keep your journal close, as after the practice you may want to record your experience and any insights that come up. Heart for a New You. Practice. As we begin, let your awareness find your breath. Let your awareness find your breath at a focal or still point in your torso that feels comfortable for you to immerse yourself in the experience of breathing. It is not a controlled breath. It is a very comfortable, very natural breathing pattern where you can feel at one with your breath. If it feels comfortable to do so, extend the out breath just a little bit longer than the in-breath. If you'd like, you can repeat the word release silently to yourself on every out-breath. And as you do so, physically feel the sensation of release throughout your mind and body. It feels like your whole body is releasing a deep sigh. If it feels comfortable to do so, add in a couple of intentional and audible sighs physically feel the sensation of release throughout your mind and body. As we go through the meditation, somewhere in the background, keep part of your awareness always on this breathing pattern. Now notice where your thoughts are. Don't engage in the thought, but just notice. Notice from a third person witnessing or observing point of view, as if they were somebody else's thoughts. You might not even notice the content of your thoughts as much as the activity of your mind. Again, just notice. If there is anything particularly present, notice and promise yourself you will go back and deal with it at an appropriate time, if they will let you be for the time being. And feel those thoughts beginning to gently drift away. Now notice what you're feeling. Again, from a third person witnessing or a disengaged point of view, maybe even with a little curiosity. Don't engage in the feeling, just notice, as if you were observing somebody else feeling that way, maybe even with a little curiosity or surprise. Notice that what you are feeling may or may not have anything to do with what your thoughts are. Again, just notice. Notice the context and texture of what you are feeling, and notice if it comes from a different part of your body than when your thoughts are manifest. Don't think about it too much, just notice. Notice if there is anything particularly present in what you are feeling, for which it might be helpful to promise yourself you will go back and address at another time, if these feelings can leave you be for a while. Acknowledge them and promise yourself you will do so. And feel them beginning to drift away. Now notice your bodily sensations. Scan from your toes to your head and notice particular places of sensation, anxiety, or discomfort. Again, just noticing without judgment. Notice the context and texture of those bodily sensations, maybe with a distant curiosity. Notice if there is an emotional component associated with the sensations. Notice the context and texture of those bodily sensations, and notice if they carry for you some intuitive message. Just listen and be open with a receptive and non-judgmental full presence without thinking about it or analyzing. Now we will refocus your physiology to allow you to be able to go deeper with the meditation. Continuing to keep your background awareness always on your breath, bring your foreground awareness and attention to your eyes. Release the stress and tension throughout all the tiny little muscles around your eyes, through your eye sockets and behind your eyes. Now release all the tiny little muscles throughout the rest of your face, around your cheeks, your jaws, and your eyebrows. It may feel like you are losing any expression on your face. And release through your shoulders, let them fall down and back as you are releasing the tightness surrounding them. And if it feels comfortable to do so, very slightly and gently raise your sternum, which is the midline bone of your rib cage. And bring all your awareness back to your breath at a focal point in your torso that feels comfortable for you to fully immerse yourself back to the experience of breathing. Now imagine a wave of relaxation starting at your toes and coming through and around your body. I will name body parts, and as this wave of relaxation concentrates on and makes its way through each body part, deeply feel the sensation of the release and relaxation of those same body parts. This wave of relaxation is starting at your toes and making its way through the balls of your feet and deep into the tissue of the arches of your feet and through your ankles and slowly up your lower leg, and you can feel the deep sense of release of the muscle tissues of your calf and back and your shin and front. And now this wave of relaxation is making its way through your knee joint and slowly up your thigh. And as it does so, you can feel it deeply penetrating the muscle tissue in the front of the thigh and the back of the thigh, feeling a deep sense of release all through the thigh. Now this wave of relaxation is making its way up through your hip joint and deeply releasing all the muscles and tendons and ligaments that hold the joint together. And you can feel a deep sense of release through the whole joint. Now this wave of relaxation is making its way up your lower torso, through your pelvic girdle, your abdominal area, and your lower back. And now gently, as it reaches your waist, bring all your awareness to your back. And this wave of relaxation is concentrated, traveling up your back muscles, starting at the muscles on either side of your spine, deeply penetrating and releasing the muscle tissue as it makes its way up, and releasing the muscle tissue around your shoulder blade area and then into the shoulder joint itself. And you can feel your shoulders letting go of any residual tension, falling further down and back as your body lets go and releases. And now this wave of relaxation is simultaneously making its way down each arm, through the muscle tissue of the upper arm, the elbow, your forearm, down into your wrists and hands and fingers, and you can feel a profound sense of release of the stress you typically carry through your hands. And now it's at the base of your neck and slowly traveling up the back of your neck, deeply releasing the muscle tissue of the neck as it progresses. And now at the base of your skull, like a cap beginning to unfold and encircle your skull, imagine this cap of relaxation slowly unfolding around the top and the sides of your skull simultaneously, and as it does so, you can feel yourself letting go of any residual stress or tension that you typically carry all through your head. And now, like a curtain coming down all across your forehead and gently over your eyebrows and deep into the eye sockets and releasing through your face and your cheeks, feels like you're losing all your expression. And around your chin and your jaw and down into your neck and throat. And now this wave of relaxation is approaching your chest area, and once again you can feel your rib cage expansive and releasing any residual tightness or tension. You may feel a slight raise in your sternum, and all your awareness is back to being fully immersed in the experience of breathing at a focal point that is comfortable for you. There is nothing left but you and your breath. Now you will nurture an intentional state of a new and flourishing self-image. But before you do this, it is important to bring to mind what you wish to leave behind, just enough to unlock the neural nets. Briefly bring to mind an image of the difficult things in your life you reflected on at the very beginning of the book. Reflect on all of those things you are ready to and have already begun to leave behind. Again, do not let these images flood you, but bring them to mind enough to briefly stimulate a sense of how painful it would be to return to or remain in those states any longer. Imagine the defeat, pain, and frustration of returning to those states or remaining in them 1 minute longer. Feel it. Feel it. Now feel the sense of urgency and determination to move forward with your new life now that you have experienced what it might look like. Feel the insistence. Feel the firm resolve. Feel the desire. Feel the drive. Cultivate a tiny smile. Feel the anticipation. Release your shoulders so they fall down and back. Gently raise your sternum as if a soft rope were pulling it slightly towards the sky. Now imagine as if the life-sized rubber band that has been holding you back all this time has suddenly snapped and you are propelled toward your future. Feel it. Feel it. Now fully immerse yourself in an image of the way you would like your life to be, as if you have arrived. Feel the sensation and elation of being there. What does it look like to fully embody this new self-image? Notice the details. How are you living your values? What are you accomplishing? Soak up this image with all of your senses. The sights, the smells, the sounds, focus on the
felt experience of this new self-image as if you are living it in every cell of your being. What are you doing? What is your posture? Follow the images as they move and shift, and focus on the specific details of what your new life looks like. Fully immerse yourself in the vision and sensation of these new images, and notice all the details of your life, your work, your relationships as they are manifest in your life moving forward. Feel it. Live it. I'm going to be silent for several minutes. During this time, fully immerse yourself in the felt experience of your new self-image, and try and soak the experience in every cell of your body, and make a cellular imprint of the new you are bringing forward. Now, squeeze your hand to form a neural association to more easily access this state. Squeeze it again. Now, ever so slightly, bring a subtle shift in awareness to yourself deep in the meditation. Don't come out of it. It's more like you are observing or witnessing yourself deep in this state. Continuing to bring an awareness of yourself deep in the meditative state, pause and reflect. Notice if any intuitive insights come up, which may or may not be formulated in words. It is important to spend some time in awareness of this liminal state or in-between state, as it integrates the parts of your brain to more easily access the meditative state in your conscious moments. Spend a few more moments in this liminal state. Through a witnessing awareness of yourself deep in this meditative state, try to make a cellular memory of this experience. In other words, it is like you are trying to cement this experience in every cell of your body. Now, at your own pace, begin to bring a little more awareness to how you're feeling, and more awareness to the sensations of being in your body. Move your hands, move your toes, and ever so slowly and at your own pace, make sure you re-ground yourself in your body by moving your arms and legs. Making sure you are re-grounded in the room you are in. Take several deep breaths in. Open your eyes when you are comfortable. Pause and reflect for several moments and notice any insights and reflect on your experience. Jot down any thoughts about your experience. And spend a few moments journaling if it is appropriate. It is a very, very rich time to journal, as many insights will continue to emerge as you bring your experience to more conscious awareness through the stream of consciousness writing process. Use the practice of squeezing your hand in your conscious everyday moments to return to the physiological state of your new self-image. As you do, remember the state you experienced in this meditation. Similarly, use the practice of releasing your shoulders and slightly raising your sternum in as many moments as you can remember to do so, to recall this state and imprint it as your new way of being. Repeat this practice as many times as you can in the next 3 weeks. Reserve judgment for the next 3 weeks, and after, notice how you have begun to truly embody your new self-image. Repeat this practice often, after for a tune-up and for continual growth into your ever new self-images, realizing your new you manifest.